Hello, divine creations, divine marvels, children of God. Thank you so very much for dropping by this video. A very warm welcome. I'm feeling very inspired right now. Really excited to share on a few topics today. To anyone who's new to this channel is based on the teachings of Bruno Groening. You can find out more about him in the link below, to the side or below. Before I hop into things, a very important public service announcement. Please do not blindly believe anything I say. Please reflect on what I say. Study whatever teaching or scripture that you hold sacred, and then listen deeply inside of yourself and come to your own conclusion whether what I'm saying is true or not. And while you're at it, please don't blindly believe anything that anyone says, but do everything I just said. Study whatever text or philosophy that you hold to be sacred and true, and then reflect and listen deeply inside yourself. And on top of that, please don't blindly believe anything you think, but do everything I just said. Study whatever text philosophy you take to be sacred and true, and then listen deeply inside yourself whether the thoughts that are appearing in your head are true or not. One at a time, one thought at a time. Okay, public service announcement out of the way. So, one of the things I love about the internet is I can connect with people all around the world, people I've never met, never will meet. And I can share my ideas. I can hear other people's ideas and I can share my own ideas. It's wonderful. And sometimes there can be conflict and tension. And sometimes over the internet, it's easy to say things that one wouldn't necessarily say to someone in person. There's benefits to that and challenges with that. Well, I recently got involved in a bit of a debate with someone, and they didn't like what I said. And they said, in response to what I said, they said, "You don't even know me." And I think there's some validity to what they had to say. Maybe I got too personal. I don't think so, but regardless, maybe I did. I'm still reflecting on that. But it raises a very interesting question. So this person, all they are to me is a name on a screen and a few lines of text. Is it possible for me to know this person with having just that? They literally wrote maybe 3 or 4 sentences. So before today, I would have said, no, I can't know that person. I would need to talk to them. I would need to, get to know them, hear their story, and find out the specific details of their life. But as I've reflected on this more and more, I think it's actually not true that I can know this person, that I can know each person who's here live right now. Right now, there's 3 other people live. Hi. That I can know every person who watches this video. In fact, I can know everyone. And this isn't something special about me, that all of us can know and understand everyone through reflecting on one of Bruno Groening's fundamental teachings. So, I start off almost every broadcast by saying, "Hello, divine creations, divine marvels, children of God." So that's a direct quote from Bruno, or I should say a translation of a quote of Bruno Groening. He said, that's what we are. That's what I am, you are, we are human beings. We are a divine creation, a divine marvel. And the German word for marvel, I looked it up once. It's an amazing word, like something very precious, something amazing, something that fills you with awe and wonder. Now, as I go throughout my day, that's not usually how I think about myself or other human beings. I'm learning to think that way more and more and to see that more and more. But let's start right there. That I, you, we, this person on the internet, I won't say their name, their first name, I only know their first name, but we'll call them R. All of us are divine creations, divine marvels. So those are words, but we can experience those words through spiritual practices such as prayer or meditation, or as Bruno Groening taught, tuning in, of receiving divine energy. In fact, Bruno Groening said the only thing that's necessary is that you attain self-knowledge or self-recognition. That, of course, is a process. I'm not going to go so into that right here, right now. But the essence of Bruno Groening's teaching is that we come to know who, not just who we are, but what we are. So, I, you, we are my new, I won't quite say friend because there's a little bit of tension between him and I, but we are all divine creations and divine marvels. Everyone. If this teaching is correct, I'm convinced it's correct. Through reflecting on the teaching, through taking in the divine energy, and then something from deep within me says that yes, that's true. But it's also nonverbal. When I tune in, I can feel that sacredness. I can feel it around me, and I can feel it within me. So, if that's true, that I, you, we are a divine creation and a divine marvel, so what's up with bad behavior? How is it possible? As the Bible said, we're made in the image and likeness of God. This particular person I was debating with, they're from a Hindu background, and in the Hindu view, not so similar, different yet similar to what Bruno Groening taught, is that God lives within us. They just have slightly different language, slightly different nuances. So how is it possible, from the Western point of view, that we're made in the image and likeness of God, from the Eastern point of view, that God literally is within us? How is it possible that people do the horrible things they do? I've done horrible things. I've done bad things. I'm guessing everyone here has done things where they've harmed. I don't think there's a single person on this earth who hasn't done things that have been harmful to others, that have caused pain, suffering, disharmony. How is this possible? If we're made in the image and likeness of God, if God lives within us. Well, Bruno Groening gives a very simple yet profound answer. He said the soul is like an antenna. It's constantly receiving an energy. And he said there's two primary energies, the energy of good and evil. Depending on which energy are taking in the moment, and depending on which energy we've taken in the past, that's what will guide our behavior. He was very adamant. He said, if a person takes in one negative thought, they truly become a servant of evil. What does that mean? Well, my understanding is that if we say yes to a thought, that thought sticks around. It doesn't go into our soul, but it's almost like it almost, and this is just my words, Bruno didn't speak to this, but well, he did speak to this, that the energy of positive or negativity, that it actually is in our body. We take it in, and then it pulls or pushes us in different directions, depending on which energy we've taken in the moment and from the past. So this person R, in my view, they were behaving very badly. not only what they said I believe was untrue, but it was very diluted, distorted, and just an out and out condemnation of a whole group of people. So, in my view, and I won't even say my view, according to the teachings of Bruno Groening, whenever we do something that's less than harmonious, we're being led by evil. And my understanding of what it is to be a human, based on Bruno's teachings, based on my own reflections, and observing myself, moment by moment, I am connecting with good and evil, love or fear or hatred, harmony or disharmony, life or dis-ease, and all the many meanings of the word. Disease doesn't just mean physical disease, it also means dis-ease. Peace or lack of peace, depending on which energy I'm connecting with in the moment, and depending on which energy I've connected with from the past, because we have to contend with all the negative thoughts and actions we've done from the past. I'm being led by one of those two energies. And day by day, moment by moment, my thinking, feeling, and behaving I'm being led. I'm being led by one of those two energies. And we as human beings, especially those of us who are on the spiritual path, then it becomes our journey to stay connected to the good and to heal or resolve the things from the past and to learn to discern what's good and follow that. So to R, who may or may not watch this video, yes, I don't know the details of your life, but I know what it is to be you. I don't know the specifics. But my understanding of what it is to be you, my understanding of what it is to be me, my understanding of what it is to be a human being is moment by moment. We're all seeking the good. And moment by moment, we're simultaneously, oftentimes unconsciously, being tugged at by what is not good. And so by moment, there's a struggle. Sometimes the struggle is very subtle. Sometimes it's huge. Sometimes it's non-existent. Sometimes things are flowing. But moment by moment, there's this tuning in to one of two energies. And moment by moment, and sometimes that moment by moment isn't so in the moment. It's really directed by the past, by positive and negative, you could say, seeds. As Bruno Groening said, you reap what you sow. It's a very ancient teaching through many different cultures. And I believe that's what it is to be you are. And that's what it is. That's what it's like to be me. And that's what it is to be human. Is to strive for the good and to have these challenges that seemingly seem to pull us away from the good. Thank you so very much for dropping by. I hope this was helpful in people understanding Bruno's teachings and maybe understanding themselves and maybe understanding everyone. Because Bruno Groening said the human being is and remains divine. No matter what, the human being, Bruno said, from a spiritual point of view, there's no such thing as a bad person, just someone with bad habits, meaning someone who has gotten accustomed to associating with what is not good and being led by what is not good. Andy, hello. Hello from Poland. Marcin, thank you for saying hello. And Andy, thanks for saying hi. I think it's the first time you've said hello on this channel. Mystic Auto Shaman. Hello, friend. I'm still laughing about still laughing about this, your slogan, fixing parts and hearts. Mystic Auto Shaman wrote, "We are truly divine. This life is amazing." This life is amazing. It is. It's quite an amazing journey. Sometimes it's very challenging. And the fact that anything exists at all is a profound mystery and a profound grace. And the fact that we are here and get to participate, and that we've been given the gift of existence. What can we even say to that? But thank you. Ah, Marcin, that's right. Bruno was born in today's Poland, what's considered Poland today. Back then it was part of Germany, but oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. I'd forgotten that. All right, beautiful souls. I wish everyone a blessed Sunday. And I guess the final thought on my mind is, if Bruno Groening's correct, and I believe he is, and as is the Eastern teaching that this person was presenting, that I was dialoguing and debating with, there's nothing in this world that is 100% evil. Nothing. Creation, and all of us as part of creation, we are receptacles. We're like a lamp. And the question is, well, actually, I'm going to go back to the antenna, because that's the metaphor that Bruno used. We are an antenna. We both receive a signal, but we also transmit through our words and our deeds. So the question is, what are we receiving? And then what are we transmitting? And what we're receiving is going to have a huge impact on what we transmit, how we act, how we think, what energy we're sending out into the world. So no one, even the worst person in history, is not 100% evil, according to this teaching. I'm convinced it's true. That nothing that God, because let's think about this for a moment. Can you imagine God making something that's 100% evil? Making a person that's 100% evil, that's irredeemable. Sadly, a lot of religious thought is based on that, is based on this idea that there are some people, places, and things that are hopeless forever. It's the most depressing idea I've ever heard. Whereas Bruno Groening said, the good will prevail. And as I've said many times, I consider that to be the final message of the Bible. The good will prevail. There's so many poetic and beautiful expressions in the Bible of this idea of good triumphing, of heaven and earth coming together, of every knee bowing to God, of every voice singing to God in unison. And that happening here on this earth. Peace being established on this earth. That earth will become so beautiful. I mean, this is where it gets really poetic, and sometimes, honestly, it's hard to fathom. that the lamb and the lion will lie down and cuddle together, that a child will stick their hand into a nest of vipers, vipers being snakes, and they will be safe. That goodness is going to prevail to such an extent. I don't know that those things are literally true. I assume that they are because I believe for God, nothing is impossible. And Bruno Groening gave us hints of what that will look like, of the good prevailing. And then, as I've just shared, there are many glimpses of that in the Bible, of what that could look like. Good prevailing, not just in us as individuals, but on this whole world. Who can even fathom? I'm convinced, and I'm not alone in this, that that was the true message of Jesus Christ. It's written that Jesus called his message the gospel. But what does gospel mean? Well, gospel comes from a Greek word, evangelum, which means good news, declaration of a victory, declaration of a change of leadership. If you ask most Christians, what does the gospel mean? They'll say, gospel is just, the teachings of Jesus. Well, gospel means good news. What is the good news? I believe, early Christians believe, and now in the last roughly 150 years, there's been a rebirth of Christians who believe that gospel, the good news, is the complete victory of goodness over all evil, to such an extent that there's such a level of harmony on this planet that a child can put their hand into a nest of vipers and be safe. On a personal level, that we can be in absolute peace always. That each one of us can be free from all dis-ease of all kind, spiritual, emotional, mental. And that Bruno, and I'm not saying he's the only one who taught a valid way. Bruno taught us this beautiful way to do that, to take in the divine energy, to have faith, to trust in the goodness of God, to mind our thoughts, which is what I've been talking about a lot today, how moment by moment we're receiving thoughts, to be mindful of which ones we say yes to. And I've been talking about recently to also have faith no matter what. I went to a traditional Christian church this morning and they talked about saying thank you in all times and all places. That would include when things don't go our way, when painful things happen, when hard things happen. Why on earth would you say thank? Of course, someone gives you a gift, you say thank you. But why on earth say thank you when something painful happens? Well, Bruno Groening said, all things serve the good. He said, only things that serve as a lesson or are reparation for past harm are allowed to happen. That means that everything that happens, and he said the state of the world is steered by God. Only things that serve as a lesson are allowed to happen. That means that everything happens for us. That doesn't mean it's pleasant. That doesn't mean we should like it. But it's a very profound shift of paradigm. That's not to say it could get very subtle there, because we still need to learn how to discern what's good and evil and how to respond. That doesn't mean if someone does evil that we say, oh, thank you, and let them do it again. This is where discernment comes in. But in the bigger picture of taking to heart the idea that God is in control. And we're only allowed to experience that which will benefit our spiritual growth. That can be very hard. Many of us have experienced many very painful things, maybe even traumatic things. So to take on the view that that was to serve, that happened for our good, requires some discernment and some carefulness. But it also is an expression of trust. It's an expression that God is in charge and God is all good and only good. It's an expression of truly viewing God as a loving parent. Our human parents couldn't, a good human parent does what they can to protect a child from harm, but they can't do it perfectly. But a divine parent, infinite almighty God. Now God could set things up so that no harm befalls us, but that's not what happens. And so many people, I was one of them, sometimes I still am, develop resentment when painful things happen. And then I have to come back to this paradigm of this is for my good. I don't like it. I wish it wasn't happening. And I trust that infinite, all-wise, all-powerful, all-loving God is in charge. I'm not in charge. God is. Bruno Groening said this is a school. God's in charge of the lessons, not me. But why? It's a valid question, and Bruno Groening gives a very simple answer. Bruno said that God allows free will. I'm paraphrasing here, but Bruno said that God will allow human beings to make life like hell on earth. God's given such free reign that God will allow us to kill other bodies. Not kill the person. You can't kill the person. The person's a soul. It's eternal. But that's how much free will. You want to know how much free will we've been given? Watch the news. Don't watch the news. I mean, watch the news or don't watch the news. I don't watch the news for my mental health. But you know what I'm talking about. Horrible things have happened, or read history. Horrible things have happened. Horrible things are happening now, and horrible things will happen. But Bruno offers a paradigm that allows us to understand that and still believe in God, that all things serve the good and that God has given us free will. And we've misused it. I, you, we, this person R, who I'm dialoguing with online. And now we're experiencing the consequences. And hopefully learning. Please, God, help us to learn. We've got some comments here. Let's see. Thank you, Mystic Auto Shaman. Marcin, we receive love and transmit it further. Amen, alleluia. Marcin, that's the way. And the only thing I would add to that is, and I'm not a master of life. I'm assuming you're not, but maybe you are. I hope you are, Marcin. I hope everyone here watching is a master of life and I'm the last one. That would be great. So I would just add to that, Marcin, is that in the process of receiving love, there's the healing process. And again, Bruno said, Heilung, healing, ist Heilegung, sanctification, purification. So until we're masters of life, we are also engaged in a healing process. And I'll just speak for myself. I haven't mastered receiving and sending love and transmitting it further 24/7. That's my goal. Not planning on getting there in this lifetime. I'm open to it. Not anticipating it. That's beautifully said, Marcin. Thank you. Mystic Auto Shamans. It happens for us, not to us. That's a beautifully said, Mystic Auto Shaman. And it can be really hard to live that sometimes, right? I struggle with it. But for me, it's the only answer that makes sense. That's the eternal. I mean, not having an answer to this question has made more atheists and more agnostic and made people hate religion and hate God than anything. Why does bad things happen to good people? And in general, Western religion doesn't have a satisfying answer to that. Of course, Eastern religion has the idea of karma. So without that, and karma can seem very harsh though. And so Bruno has given this idea of a lesson, that it's for our learning, not for our punishment. Bruno said, God never punishes. Chris wrote, yes, we need the good news in these very challenging times for so many people in this world. Chris, thank you. I need it. I need to be reminded of it. Bruno said it very simply, the good will prevail. But then we need patience. We need to, I would say I try to take that to my heart and then live by that one day at a time, one moment at a time. It's not so easy. I'm going to read one of my favorite Bible verses. This is from the book of James, book 1, verse 2. My brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into diverse temptations, or problems or challenges, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. But let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. In my own words, when bad things happen to you, consider it a blessing, understanding that challenges are here to help us learn. The ultimate learning is absolute faith and trust. And patience and the capacity to endure challenging things. And when we can master that, you will be perfect. Perfect, not in a certain sense of the word. You will be whole, wanting nothing. Bruno Groening spoke about this. He spoke about not having any attachment and not letting the heavenly peace be disturbed for anything. So I can only speak about these things theoretically because I haven't mastered them yet. Please God, right now. But like I said, I hope everyone else has mastered this and they can start teaching and helping me do it. Wow, Marson wrote, my way to heal all sentient beings worldwide is sending a wave of love with each my heartbeat all the time. Marson, I am so glad you exist and you are doing that work, because the world needs that. I sometimes think that what Marson is talking about is what the world really needs, is all of us. And we might have different words. Here Marson has very poetic words. My way to heal all sentient beings worldwide is sending a wave of love to each with my heartbeat all the time. Christians, it might be to pray, thy kingdom come, thy will be done for everyone. So maybe different traditions have different ways, but I sometimes wonder if the one thing that this world needs is for all of us to pray or tune in to the sacred and wish that, not just for ourselves, but for everyone. So let's spend a few minutes now doing that. If you'd like, you can join in, asking to receive the divine transmission, the divine blessing, and asking that all beings receive it, that all beings open to it. You can say it however you like. You might just say everyone on this planet, as Marson said, all sentient beings, all souls. however you feel inspired. Let's do a universal tuning in right here, right now. So I'm going to say a few words and then have another silent, and then we can close. So my understanding is that there is one, and this is based on Bruno's teachings, there is one perfect God that is all good and only good. And that reality, being, energy is all around us and within us. And that throughout history, there have been many great teachers, sages, prophets, teachers, masters who have spoken about this reality. I consider Bruno Groening to be one such master. On this channel, I share my best understanding of Bruno Groening's teachings, and I am not a master. So please, just as I started off with in the beginning, please don't blindly believe what I say. Explore it, investigate it, study Bruno Groening's teachings. I believe the ultimate teaching of Bruno Groening is to not just trust God, but to follow God moment by moment, to listen to God moment by moment, and hence being led by God moment by moment. So it moves me to tears that I have this channel, people come here. On YouTube, it says I have this many followers. I don't even have words for how grateful I am for that. I also want to be very clear that I'm not worthy of being blindly followed. What I do here is I try and point you towards someone who I do believe is worthy of being blindly followed, Bruno Groening, and he didn't want that. He didn't want people to blindly believe what he said. He said what he was convinced was true, and then gave us a method to find out for ourselves. So I invite people to that, to practice Bruno's teachings and find out for themselves. If it feels right, for a moment, step into absolute trust that the good will prevail in each of our lives as individuals, in the lives of every human being, for this entire planet, and ultimately for everyone and everything. Again, as it's written in the Bible, the final restoration of all things, that the good will prevail. Let's practice that faith together for a moment, that the good will prevail. Let's ask for endurance to endure all the challenges that occur between now and that glorious moment when the good prevails for us personally, and then when the good prevails for everyone and everything. I'd like to thank everyone who dropped by today. Appreciate everyone who said hello. Appreciate the people who participated. Marcin, very touched by your image of sending love with every beat of our heart. I went to Catholic Mass this morning, actually, and let me see if I can find the closing words. They're very beautiful. I can't remember them exactly, but I'll just have to paraphrase. And please take this good news, the gospel, the good news to heart. And now with joy, let's go forth and let's serve. Let's be joyfully in service to the final restoration of all things. Thank you, beautiful souls. I wish everyone a glorious day. Take care.